Hi guys, it's Hani here. I'm back with another cute cookie decorating idea. Today we're going to make cactus cookies, and to make these cookies I used my sugar cookie dough recipe, and to decorate I'm using royal icing. As always, you can find all the recipes on my blog hanielas.com. Link is in the description box under the video. And now let's get started with today's tutorial. First I'm going to divide cookie into sections using edible marker. And now we can start decorating with royal icing. I'm using dark green royal icing, about 25-second consistency, and I'm going to ice every little section individually. So first I'm going to outline and then fill the section with royal icing. I'm using thicker icing to avoid cave-ins in my royal icing. Sometimes when royal icing dries, especially when you're icing a small section and adding a lot of icing into that section, as the icing dries, it can cave in, creating a kind of a dimple or sometimes even a crater that's gonna have a hole in it. So to avoid this, I'm using thicker icing. However, if you are just starting out and you can work as fast with thicker royal icing to make it smooth, so you're using thinner icing, you are getting cave-ins. And I'm going to show you how you guys can solve this problem by implementing a really simple technique that I picked up from Carrie-Ann's cookies, and I will show you later in a video what you guys can do. It's an extra step, but it does help with the cave-ins. So once we are done with icing every other section, we can let these crust, and then we'll come back and ice the sections between. So while that's happening, we can ice the bottom of the cookie. I'm using 15-second consistency royal icing, and I'm going to make super simple polka dot design using wet on wet technique. So now take white royal icing, also about 15-second consistency, and pipe large dots onto the wet blue icing. And now on to the tip that I mentioned earlier, how you guys can prevent cratering. So you can pipe a line of icing, either a zigzag line, or if you can't really pipe a zigzag line, you can pipe a straight line in the middle of the section you are about to ice. Let it crust, and then you can flood it with your icing. Now one thing to remember, try not to use your scribe tool too deep, because then it can disturb that support layer that we piped, that's going to keep the icing from sinking in. Now we're gonna let this crust. It will take maybe 20 minutes or so, and then we can continue working on the flower pot. So I'm going to ice this section, and I'm using 20-second consistency for this section. Now to make the flower that is striped, I'm going to make a pouch. So I piped a dark colored royal icing and then top it with lighter shade depending on the color you are using. This is just a demonstration. I ended up using pink and like a bluish gray. And make sure that the narrow part of the piping tip is facing out when you are piping these petals. And also it's really important that you are using thick royal icing. Thin royal icing will not be able to hold the petals in place, and it will spread. So it's important to use thick icing for this step. Now to make the pricks, you can either use white royal icing or also black royal icing works really well. So first make a V shape and then pipe another line in the middle. To decorate the center of the flower, you can either use small nonpareils, or you can also pipe white dots in the center with royal icing. When piping these white dots, if you want to avoid having a pointy dot, like with a small spike on the top, use icing that is about 25-second consistency. That should give you a good result. And now we can outline with black royal icing piping consistency. To make the black, I used Super Black from Americolor brand, and I always let my black royal icing rest at least for several hours, and ideally up to overnight, and even for several days. It helps to develop the color, and I don't have to use as much food coloring, which sometimes leads to bleeding. And that's how you can make these adorable cactus cookies. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. As always, all the recipes can be found on my blog, hanielas.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.